Hello, welcome to the Primaza community call of August 14, 2023. Our agendas are going to be under discussion. Then you got to go to the specific date. And then there you should have agenda items in forms of comments. So the first agenda item is from Francesco. So, Francesco, you want to discuss this?
Yes, this one is just kind reminder of becoming a public member of Primaza if you want. So actually, if you open anonymous because you are part of the organization, view of the people that are into the Primaza organization, you can just see the public ones. And so if you are a private member of the Primaza organization and you want to show to the public, you just need to change the this field that David is highlighting now. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Francesco. Next one, enable GitHub project for Primaza.
Yeah, we discussed that in the story today. We have a story for this about creating the templates. We probably want to define also labels and milestones. We are defining labels, so we have kind, story, kind, epic, kind, task. Maybe we want to propose, someone wants to propose some new labels, and we want to decide together the milestones. So that was just to open a
Right.
discussion on this.
Yep. So anyone has any experience with milestones in open source? I've seen how they do it in Helm. I kind of like it how they do it in Helm. But I'd like to hear from anyone else.
We used to use milestones over on service bindings when there was a bit more of an active push to get something across the finish line. We largely just largely just used it as categorization on when we would expect to get around to something. I.e., is this something we need to do for the 1.0 release? Is this something we need to do after the 1.0 release?
I see. I see. We're at a point right now where I think we're putting some, features out. Features out we think are gonna be useful for Primaza. But I mean, do we wait for a feature to be done to then do a release, or do we have a release on a schedule and then whatever makes it makes it? I mean, those are the two approaches I've seen, right? Where you can say, hey, and this is what Helm does. Helm has a schedule of releases, and then they put a milestone for each of those release, and then people start putting things that they want to get done for their release in the milestone,
Yeah.
and then go ahead.
In my
Yeah, Nat?
experience, what worked out here is that you have a feature-driven major releases, and you have a time-driven minor releases. So like if you decide to release like every sprint, or I don't know, every month or whatever, you just do it
Right.
independently on the feature set you implemented. It creates really good dynamic. And for the major release, you have a list of the big features you want to implement, and you
wait. You wait for that to be implemented, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they can go together, basically, right? So if it's bug fixes and small improvements, that could go into a time schedule.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And there can be also like a bug fixes releases, which is like
right
that release. So which you can make anytime, like if it is really like a blocker bug, stuff like that. So you do it anytime.
The only problem I have is like some of the big features can be released together. So what do we call the release? What do we call the milestone? Because the milestone could be, hey, I want to implement the new validation. I want to implement different type of projection, and I want to implement different format for the projection, right? So maybe there's multiple things mixed in there, but I do want to release them at the same time. Why not, right?
Oh, okay. You mean to actually differentiate between the milestone and release, right?
Yeah. Well, a
Okay.
milestone to me eventually becomes a release, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So for simplicity, we just call it like we do not have a release in the GitHub, so we just release it's like equal milestone. Yeah, that's what.
Right.
I'm
Right.
saying.
To me, a milestone eventually is a release. It's gonna be a major release for sure because it has some features, etc. But I could hang multiple features in the milestone, basically, right? It's up to us
Yes.
to say, like,
Yeah.
it's and then and then regardless, and then I could either say like this: hey, we're gonna release every month, and then the milestone A is gonna make next release, right? And then it's gonna be major, and then or we could say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna do a one-off release. We could do that too, right? And then it doesn't have to be on the schedule. You're just gonna be a one-off release, right?
I'd
Yeah.
say that. Oh,
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. It can be the option. That's what I wanted to say. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say that we are now defining the new epics. We closed the old one for the
Yep.
MVP version, so we are now defining the new one. I'd say that we can,
Put the epics in the milestones. Yep.
yeah, we can create a milestone that's basically when we expect to complete this epics,
Mm-hmm.
and or a sort of or some of them. And if we complete just the epics before some epics before the milestone, we just close them and release monthly. That's good, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yes,
It would work, but it depends on also on the epic discipline. So if it turns that your epic becomes like a big umbrella issue for everything, so you just
No.
add new things to the epic, it may
Yeah.
happen you never release.
Yeah. No. I'm trying to change that because that's what we have today. We have like big epics. So I'm trying to change that so everything that we're working is actually towards a specific feature,
Yeah,
which will be an epic,
yeah,
and then we're gonna hang those epics under a milestone.
yeah,
And we can say, hey, this is an epic we want to get done before this one. Therefore, that one's gonna go to milestone 2. This one's gonna go milestone 1. Right?
yeah. The
And
scope should be well defined. Yeah.
okay, and then I think we should do that just to make sure. And then when people look at, okay, what's the next set of things that these guys are working on the milestone 1? What's the next milestone? This one? Okay. What are they working on? Okay. What are the stories under that? Okay, cool. I can pick one of this. This is most important, right? So that's the whole point, is to show what we're working as well. All right. So I'm gonna continue working on the episodes. I'm gonna start creating milestones. I don't think we need a story for that. I'm gonna start creating milestones and hanging epics under those, basically. And I'm gonna try to close no basically make sure there's no new stories under the old epics so we can close those epics. Those epics are done, basically, in my opinion. Okay, the next item is also from Francesco.
Yeah, it's just a question. Do we want to create a new release for Primaza? Actually, we just have one release, and I think that should be like 30 merged PR from that moment.
Yeah, I think we should do another release, especially with the findings from Martin,
Mhm.
that there were some objects that were not correct.
Yep.
I think we should just because of that we should do a release. right?
We may also fix that old one by just generating the correct YAML and updating the
The release.
attached artifact. Yes, that will be good to do, because actually we have a release with broken YAMLs, but we can generate the correct ones and upload manually into the actual release.
Okay.
So
Well,
that will be good to do. And
so
also,
should we start doing the releases on a cadence? Can we create a schedule, and then that will force us to automate it? By the way, I would love that. So that's another reason to have the releases on. Like, okay, let's start with monthly releases, something like that, right?
or we can use the end of sprint every 2 weeks, and
Every 2 weeks work for me too. As long as we can, if you automate it, it doesn't matter how often, right?
maybe 2 weeks may be a little bit complex to implement with the cron jobs or the cron schedule, but you did something similar for the discussion, so it will be easy. Will be good. Easy to get.
Every 2 weeks, yeah, it'll have to be like odd weeks or even weeks. You need to pick whatever,
Yeah.
and then it can be done.
Yeah. I'd vote for not the day we close the sprint, but the day after, because sometimes we have some leftovers that will be merged in proximity of the end of the sprint. But for example, for me, it's Thursday after the sprint is closed is good.
And then all we need to do is add a create a tag, right?
Yeah.
That's all we need to do. Okay.
Yeah. That can be done automatically at night, and we the day after find the release in draft. We can edit the message and publish that.
Okay. Cool.
Or also we could do this in the weekend, so we release Primaza in the community call. That's another idea.
We release Primaza in the community call.
Yeah, if we close the sprint on Wednesday and we on Saturday or Sunday just prepare the release automatically, then we can go on Monday and in the community call refine the message and
Okay.
that may be a nice thing to do. And we can also discuss whether or not to publish that, because maybe we're in the middle of something and that will be a not so good release.
Okay. Who decides? The problem also is who decides whether it's a major or minor version release.
Until we are before 1.0, basically we just
Doesn't
need
matter.
we're not promising that we maintain compatibility with previous versions. So
Yeah,
we
we're
just
not quite following Sunver.
So it could be 02, 03, 04, right?
and we just need to decide if we want to bump the minor or the major. No, sorry, the minor or the patch.
Or the pad.
Of the patch. And then how do we decide that? That's a question. Whoever creates the tag needs to know.
Yeah.
I think,
Sorry, go ahead.
my rule would be if you landed a feature, it's a minor bump.
Okay.
If all that's been fixed is say like dependabot stuff or fixes or stuff like that, that's a patch release.
Right.
That by definition is a patch release.
But the bot cannot decide. Human needs to decide, right?
We just need to decide a strategy for now. So we are always bumping minor. That's it. Until 1.0. When we have 1.0, it's another.
Yeah. Once we decide to start committing to stability, then it becomes a very different problem. We need to start considering Sunbury.
Yeah, I was gonna say milestone can help with that, right? Because even if you're releasing a specific milestone, then of course minor, right? Sometimes even major. So we have to think about that. Okay.
Bug fix release is usually not planned one, so it's just, and I would say it is usually dedicated to fix one bug. So it should be as small as possible.
The patch,
Accumulated patch release, yes.
right?
So you just need to fix one bug and release, to not to break something else.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
We may also start using labels for that. So if a PR is breaking compatibility with previous version, we add a label that's breaking, or something like that. And when we're going to publish the new version, the automation can look for all the PRs and look for the labels. But that
Yeah,
will,
I mean, I'm not talking about the compatibility. I think that the like a good sign of making one of the sign of making a major release, it can be something can be probably uncompatible with the previous release for the
Yep.
major releases. For minor releases, they should be just compatible, and yeah, and that's it. And for patch release, it's just about the fixing one bug.
CVE.
But I think that when we are going to be production ready and at the 1.0, we probably won't have the mechanism of deploying each 2 weeks. That's the idea.
Yeah.
Maybe that will be, we will need another workflow. But for now,
Yeah,
we can
yeah.
that way.
Definitely, even for RH stop, like being a part of RH stop, team actually deploying as often as possible. So it may be every day.
Mhm.
I'm of the opinion we should be following Sunvert. Once we hit 1.0,
Should we following what?
semantic versioning.
Yeah. You mean instead of V, just have 0, 1, 1?
No, the semantic version defines a set of rules on when to bump something or others.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
When to bump, and if you are going to make a new release, is it a patch release, is it a minor release, or is it a major release?
Right.
But that's my opinion. I think we should be following it. For pre 1.0, I think they have some rules for that too.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. We have 10 minutes, so let's move on to the next agenda item, Francesco.
Yes. Just one question about the previous one. So which are the actions?
The
I'm not-
action is we're gonna start releasing every spring, you said, right?
Okay. Do we want to take note of these actions in a comment under this thread?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
So for the previous one, for the milestone, you said that you are going to.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And I can go with creating the release to 0.2 and create the story for the automation.
Set up release for 0.2, right?
Yep.
And create automation story to release every spring, every 2 weeks, basically.
Yep.
Okay.
Great. The next topic was about.
And so about this
Okay.
online documentation.
Yeah, actually, the MD book that we are publishing is just for the latest comment on main. So each time we merge the PR, the documentation is updated and published. So basically, the documentation for version 0.1 is not available online. I spent some times looking for a way of doing multiple versions of the same documentation with the book. Seems not to be so easy. So if you know something about that, will be very good to share. But I think that we need to publish multiple versions of the documentation. So the version 0.1.0 should be published somehow, and from the website you should be able to use a drop down to select. I want to read the documentation for the latest commit on main. I want to read the documentation for version 0.2 or documentation for 0.1. That's the idea.
Right. Now, do we really need to do this same as the versioning, right? Do we really need to do this before 1.0?
Probably not, but we should start thinking about that. So I've been
Yeah, we should
asking for
definitely
that.
create a story for sure.
And
Right?
also, if someone of us just looks for, looks at a website that is using MD book and can spot something like this, would be nice to share that. So I wanted to inform everyone about this.
I'm not aware of anything, but I'll keep an eye out.
Great.
We definitely support that, right? Whatever versions we support. Right now, we only support the latest version. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yes,
So
yes,
it's
yes.
not a big deal. But whatever versions we support, the docs should match, right?
Yes.
That's
That's
definitely
it.
something. Now, this is the story that we need. And Francesco, can you create it?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. And then the last item in the agenda is, we have 5 minutes, by the way. Slack integration with Primaza.
Yes, we can set up integration with Primaza. I really don't really remember well this topic. So may you open the
Let me
link?
see. Let me open the link. Yeah.
Oh yeah, from there we can create some schedule reminders and connect Slack workspace to the organization. So maybe we want to do something like this.
How do we connect to that Slack that
I've
is in Kubernetes? We don't own that, do we? Andy, do you know if we own the Kubernetes
channel.
We
channel?
own the channel,
But can we create like a talk?
not the Slack, not the instance itself.
Not the instance, right?
Yeah, we just own the channel.
So we
And
don't
by
have
that
a
I mean,
we don't have a way to create a
Uh,
token, for example, or something like that.
off the top of my head, I am not aware of a way to do so. However, I feel like I've seen bot channels on the Kubernetes Slack before, so
There might be a way to do it. Yeah.
there may be a way to do it. Yes, it'd be worth asking around.
Okay. Okay.
For
So
sure, we can do this with our internal, right? Just to have a
Correct.
notification about PRs and whatever, so we do not have to write each time. Please take a look.
right. So notification for PRs. It could be this meeting. Reminder about this meeting, for example. Any reminders, right?
Yes.
Announcements for releases. I mean, it's a way to communicate with the community. So I would say we should do this for sure. So let me put an action item. Andy, do you mind taking a look at this?
I'll try. Yeah, I'll see what I can find.
If there are ways to integrate reminders with our community channel. in Kubernetes workspace.
Okay.
Okay.
Last two items very quickly. One is that I'd say that we can create a new category for Primaza community calls in discussions. So we can have just a section that is community calls with all the agendas. So if you just click on discussions here on the top, you can
By
see
the
on
way,
the top, we have announcement, general, ideas, polls, etc. We can have a new one that is community calls.
oh, okay. And then we can change the job to, instead of create a general one, because right now the next agenda was created automatically, like I told you, right?
Yeah.
So we can start putting stuff into this agenda, like for example, following up on the action items.
Yeah.
Things like that, right? So
That's a really good timing.
yeah.
And the last thing I wanted to share is that we have a couple of pollings open that could be nice to have some feedback on them. So please don't forget about them.
Okay. Thank you for your time. We're right at time, and then vote on the polling. And then thank you for coming today. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.